am I? I spent years asking myself that question. I'm 2 years into this, and I promise you, it does get easier. But before we dive in, I have a bold statement I want you to hear.
Time to get real. Let it go. You don't need it anymore. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Comeback Woman. I'm so excited you're here today because I have a question I want to ask you. It's one that I ask myself regularly. It's a simple question, but it can have a huge impact on your life. The question is this: what is one thing about yourself that no longer fits the person you want to be? I know that it might sound like such a small question, but trust me, it's so much deeper than what it seems. I actually ask myself this question at the beginning of each month. And on the months that I don't, that's usually when I feel myself feeling pretty stagnant. So things like bored, confused, or just feeling like I'm going through the motion. It's really when that sadness starts to creep in and almost like I've lost direction in my life. But when I ask myself this question, I really get a chance to evaluate where I am, where I'm going, if what I'm doing is aligning with my future goals. It really just gives me that clarity I need to keep moving forward. Now, when you first start asking yourself this question, trust me, it's going to be overwhelming. When I sat down to answer it for the first time, I realized there were so many things I wanted to change. There were so many aspects of my life that I just didn't feel like aligned with the woman I wanted to be. But I learned something crucial. When we're overwhelmed, we freeze. Nothing changes. So instead of tackling everything all at once, I decided to focus on the one thing that I could address. Something that would help me get closer to who I really wanted to become. I realized that I didn't want to make just surface level changes. I wanted a shift that had depth to it. Here's the trick. Don't focus on who you are right now. Focus on who you want to be. At first, I was approaching this question from the wrong angle. I was thinking about the changes I wanted to change about my present self. But the true power lies in focusing on who I want to be. And that's when the real transformation began. So I did something that completely changed my perspective. I decided to write my life story from the future, as if I had already achieved everything I wanted. Now, this might sound a little strange, but stay with me here. I wrote this story in the third person as if I was looking at someone else, someone I admired, someone who had already achieved the dreams I was still striving for. I wrote about a future where I had already succeeded, where I had already become the woman I envisioned. And let me tell you, it was so powerful. When I read that story, I felt a flood of emotion. It was like a light bulb went off in my head. I could finally see myself as more than just someone who wanted a job, lose weight, or make stronger connections. I was someone who did all of those things and more. I had already became that woman. So now, if you try that exercise, I promise you'll feel a rush of excitement, relief, and clarity. You'll be able to see yourself in a whole new light. I actually created a worksheet to help guide you through the process, so check out the link in the description if you want to dive deeper. Once I started to see myself as that future version of me, I found that making decisions about what no longer fit in my life became easier. We can often see the patterns in other people's lives so clearly, especially the habits or mindset that are holding them back. But here's the thing, it's harder to see our own blind spots. That's why this next step is to get outside perspective. Someone who knows you well. Once you've written your future story, ask someone close to you, someone who sees your strengths, what they think. Does your vision align with how they see you? For example, if your future story has you letting go of your past and moving on without thinking about it anymore, someone who knows you well might tell you, I actually think your past is where your strength comes from. It's where I see your tenacity, your resilience. I wouldn't want you to forget that. It's part of who you are. That kind of feedback can be so valuable because it helps you refine your vision. Maybe you didn't realize that your past holds power you didn't see before. Maybe it's the source of strength for you and for others. So now you take that feedback and adjust your story. Instead of leaving your past behind completely, maybe you decide your future self has moved on from the negative aspects, but still carries the wisdom and strength gained from the struggle. Now you've got a future story that's not just yours, it's a more defined, clear version of the woman you're becoming. Now, once you've gained the clarity on who you want to be, the next step is to really take a look at your current life and identify what no longer fits with this new version of yourself. This is where the rubber meets the road. You've got to be real with yourself. Start by asking, what are the habits, relationships, or beliefs in my life that are holding me back from becoming the future version of myself? Maybe it's something you've been doing for years because it's comfortable, or it's part of your routine, but deep down, you know it doesn't align with who you're becoming. This could be anything from a toxic relationship that drains your energy, a job that no longer excites you, or a mindset that keeps you playing small. But here's the thing. You can't create space for new things to grow unless you let go of what no longer serves you. And I know it can be tough to let go. We get attached to things, even if they're not helping us move forward. But trust me when I say letting go doesn't mean you're failing or losing something important. It's about creating room for something better, something that's in line with the woman you're becoming. So take some time to reflect. What's the one thing, or maybe a few things, that just doesn't fit anymore? You'll know it because it will feel like a weight, something that drains you instead of elevating you. Once you've identified it, it's time to make a plan to release it. Now, once you've identified what doesn't fit anymore, the next step is to embrace something new. That's where the excitement begins. You've made space in your life, so now it's time to fill it with something that elevates you, something that pushes you closer to that future version of yourself. Ask yourself this: what is the one thing I can start doing now that will help me move toward that person I want to be? It doesn't have to be big or overwhelming. It could be something simple as adopting a new habit or mindset that aligns with your vision. Maybe it's committing to a healthier routine, starting the project you've been pushing off, or even practicing self-compassion in a way that you have never done before. You know, sometimes the hardest part is just starting. We can be our own worst critics, thinking we need everything to be perfect before we take action. But I promise you, start small. It's those small, consistent steps that lead to big change. And don't be afraid to try new things that challenge you. Maybe it's something you've always wanted to try, but never did because of fear or doubt. This is your chance to go for it, whether it's learning a new skill, building new connections, or simply trying a new approach to how you live day to day. Embrace it. You have the power to choose what you let in. And by choosing new things that align with your vision, you're reinforcing that new identity. So to recap, first, get clear on who you want to be. Then take a look at your life and identify what no longer fits. Don't be afraid to let go of what's holding you back. Once you've cleared that space, it's really time to embrace something new, something that moves you closer to the life and the woman you envision. This process isn't about perfection, and it's not about getting everything right all at once. It's just about progress. Every small step you take towards your new vision is a victory. And as you keep moving forward, you'll start to feel more aligned, more confident, and more excited about the person you're becoming. Remember, this process is not about changing who you are at the core. It's about getting more clarity on who you really want to be and making sure that your present aligns with that vision. So I want to leave you with this. Ask yourself that question regularly. Reflect on it. Write about it, share it with someone you trust, let the clarity come from there. Because when you get clear on who you are and who you want to be, the rest of your life will start to align with that vision. I'm excited for you to try this. I believe it's going to give you that sense of direction, peace, and motivation that maybe you didn't know you needed. And again, if you want the worksheet to guide you through the process, check out the link in the description. You got this, and I'm so proud of the woman you're becoming.